Draymond has a podcast, and he has Steph Curry on it, his teammate and longtime teammate, so they're close. Here's the conversation.
If you could trade the 2017 and 18 championship to complete the 73-win championship, would you trade those two championships to complete the 73?
We'd have 2 chips and a damn near perfect season.
Mm-hmm. Or three chips and a
blemish on the 16. You see, I didn't want to say it. You see, I blacked out as soon as I had to even acknowledge it. I don't even know how to answer that question. I would say no, but I think for the rest of our life, I'll still be able to just laugh at 16, which is fine. There's always going to be that just awkward, acknowledgement of an amazing regular season and the finals run. But yeah, I'd say no.
That's a tough one, Rob. That is a tough scenario, in my opinion. And obviously, one thing we do in this business is we talk about rings, right? And how many a guy has. As much as we may talk about rings, or I may talk about rings, Rob, I don't think it's the end all. Like, for instance, Kobe's got 5, LeBron's got 4, and yet I rank LeBron ahead of Kobe, as I believe you do as well.
Bill
Kareem's
Russell
got
has
6.
11, so what?
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right. So I say all that to say, and this is tough, man, and I don't know, maybe ask me tomorrow, maybe I'd say something different. But right now, Rob, I'm going to say if I was in Steph Curry's shoes, I would do it. And I say this, Steph Curry's shoes. If I'm in Klay Thompson's shoes, it might be a different answer because he's not the leader of the team. He's not the best player on that team. But Steph Curry, so Steph would have back-to-back championships, which he does now. He's at 3. 2 of them, last 2 were back-to-back. He would have an argument, a strong argument for the best team ever. You'd have the regular season record, and you finished it off with a ring. And, Rob, he would have 2 championships without Kevin Durant. And now we got to add, they wouldn't have got Durant. He wouldn't have went there if they won the championship. So would he have more? Who knows? Would Steph have more? But, Rob, I'm going to say yeah. I'm going to say yeah, because I don't know that you could rank Steph much higher than he's already ranked in the all-time listings. But to have 2 rings where you were clearly the best player on your team in those seasons, to have that 73-win season completed, yeah, I think I'd do it.
I would not do it. I'm not giving up any championships. I'll take the 3. At least Steph will acknowledge, and I was happy to hear that about the blemish of that choke job, the worst choke job in the history of sports, up 3-1, choked down a championship. It had never been done in the history of the NBA. So I was glad to hear him say that it was a blemish and they acknowledged it. But I don't think I would give it up, to give up 2 for 1. And that season might be great, but Michael Jordan and them, okay, what they win, 1 more game than Michael Jordan?
1 more, yep.
Yeah, so it ain't like they separated themselves like big time. It's just not like
but see, I think
separation.
They did. I mean, when Wilt Chamberlain's team, the Sixers in, I think, 67, they won 69. Jordan only won 3 more than them. In an 82-game season, I mean, you're not winning many more than 73, or nobody's ever won more. I think 1 more was significant. And objectively, while I may think, and I do think the Bulls were the better team, objectively, you'd almost have to say the Warriors. The Warriors would have won more in the regular season. Who the Bulls beat? That was the first Jordan. That was his 4th championship, I believe. Rob G, check that out. I believe that was Jordan's 4th championship, Rob. So that would have been 96. So they beat Seattle. Okay, so they beat a Seattle team that was really good with Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, but that's not LeBron James. And he also had Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. And a lot of people, Rob, look back at 2015 and say, well, if Kyrie hadn't gotten hurt, if Love hadn't been hurt, the Cavs would have won that series. This would have knocked all that out of the box. Like, no, they beat the Cavs with LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love, and without Kevin Durant. And what you just said, Rob, because you use that a lot, and that's your right. People like you and other critics would not have that ammunition against Steph and the Warriors, that they, had the biggest choke job in the history of the NBA.
No,
So
I
those
get
are
that.
a lot of the reasons I say I would have went with the second.
I get that, but then you would look at it and say how many times they went to the championship and how many times they failed. So their dynasty wouldn't feel as good, right? Because you're taking away 2 championships, even though they have the 2. It would now be, before it was, they went to the championship 5 times. Then you would have basically that they lost the last 3. And I don't think that it would feel as good. And you lost 3, and you had Kevin Durant for those last 2 that you lost. I'm just saying,
so that's interesting because I wasn't thinking of it
I'm
that
thinking
way.
about Kevin Durant's there, and you lost.
I don't think he would have went there. Don't you agree he wouldn't have went there had they won? You think if they had won the championship? I hear you. But see, I'm assuming if you win in 2016, there's no way he goes there, right? There's no way.
Because he won it out of OKC, though. No, I know, but I get it. Some of the reason of them wanting him was because they lost, right? And I mean, he caught a lot of flack as it was. Can you imagine the flack he would have caught by going to them and they just won the championship? Like at least in the feeling in 2016 or was that they needed
when he went, that they needed it. That would have totally been gone. So I just don't think he would have went there. But, they wouldn't have won them anyway, at least according to Draymond's scenario. Would they have gotten there? Because you're right, Rob. It almost, and this is where...
You know what I mean? You would look at their run, and then it wouldn't nearly be as impressive.
It wouldn't have been a dynasty. But here's the thing. Isaiah Thomas, we give him, and deservedly so, much love. He only won 2. And he won them back-to-back. But he gets incredible love because of who they beat.
Right. Well, but this is the other thing.
And that would have been the same thing with this Warriors team.
But I'm assuming that if you're taking those 2 away, that it means that you went to the finals 5 times.
Well, and that's the question.
If you went to the finals 5 times and you lost the last 3, I don't think that's as impressive.
I agree with you there. I agree with you because they won 3 out of 5. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
and you hate to say going to the had they gotten beat in the second round, it would have been better.
But losing 3 in a row would not. Yeah, you wouldn't look at the team the same way.
I agree. I agree with that. I wasn't thinking of it that way, but without that part of the scenario, maybe they don't get there one of those years or 2 of those years. But they got back-to-back ones in the best regular season ever with a championship. I would take it.